The amazing story begins with a couple named Ben and Lucy, who have recently moved into a new apartment. The next morning, Ben tells Lucy that he has received an important project that he has been working on for several days, and today is the day of his presentation. Lucy wishes him good luck, hoping everything goes well for him. However, ever since moving into this new apartment, Lucy has been feeling some strange things happening, like doors opening and closing on their own, and it feels like there is someone else in the room. After Ben leaves for his work, Lucy continues with her daily routine. But in the evening, she suddenly spots a person wearing a hat in the reflection of the mirror. Lucy gets very scared and turns around to see who it is, but the hat-wearing person is already gone. By this time, Ben has returned home, which makes Lucy feel a little more comfortable. Though this is the first time Lucy tells Ben that she saw someone else in the apartment, she doesn't make a big deal of it. Instead, she asks Ben about his deal, to which Ben sadly responds that the deal didn't go through. Due to some problems, the contract was given to someone else. Ben is very disappointed, and Lucy comforts him, encouraging him to rest. While they are both in bed, the sounds of doors opening and closing continue. Lucy is very frightened by all these strange occurrences, but she tries to sleep normally. The next day, after Ben leaves for the office, Lucy talks to her friend, Ellie, about the strange things happening in the apartment. She tells Ellie how weird the place is and how she's been feeling uneasy since moving in. Ellie tries to reassure her, saying that it's just her imagination, and if she doesn't overthink it, things won't seem so strange. Just then, a loud noise occurs, and when Lucy turns around, she finds a raven bird that had accidentally hit her window and died. Lucy gets a little frightened, as it is considered an omen in some cultures that a raven dying like this could indicate the presence of spirits or bad luck. This only adds to her growing unease. When Lucy shared these things with her friend Ellie, Ellie simply said that such things don't happen and that she doesn't believe in them at all. Ellie told Lucy not to worry too much about it, so for the moment, Lucy decided to stop thinking about it. However, when Ben returned home, Lucy shared her concerns with him. She mentioned that something seems to be off about the apartment, and it could be related to the people who lived there before. Lucy even asked Ben about the past of the previous tenants. Ben said that when he spoke to the landowner, he learned that the previous tenants had moved to Australia. Lucy then confessed to Ben that the house feels haunted to her because she kept feeling strange shapes and presences inside. Ben, hearing this, became a little angry. He had worked hard to get this apartment, and Lucy criticizing it upset him. Lucy felt sad because of Ben's reaction. The next day, when Lucy woke up, she found a letter and some roses placed beside her. These roses had been placed by Ben. Lucy felt happy because, despite his anger, Ben still loved her very much. Lucy took photos of the roses and a selfie and sent them to Ben. Soon after, Ben replied, saying that in her photo, there was someone behind her, clearly visible as a figure. However, in reality, there was no one there. Lucy was a little scared and wondered what was happening to her. Feeling disturbed, Lucy went straight to Ellie's house and showed her the photo. Ellie noticed a strange man standing behind Lucy in the photo, although Lucy hadn't seen anyone in the room at the time. After seeing this, Ellie began to think that something might be wrong with the house. She decided to gather more information about it. When Lucy returned home, she found Ben already there, preparing a candlelight dinner for her. Ben apologized for his earlier behavior, and the two of them enjoyed a lovely evening together. However, when Lucy went into the kitchen, she suddenly heard the sound of drawers opening. Ben rushed to the kitchen after hearing the noise. Ben asked Lucy again, frustrated, "What did you do?" Lucy explained that she didn't do anything, and that the drawers opened on their own. This made Ben's mood even worse, as he thought Lucy was making up these strange stories. But Lucy couldn't help it, these things were happening around her, and soon the truth would come out and surprise everyone. The next morning, as Lucy was brushing her teeth, she saw the same man with a hat staring at her. This time, she was truly terrified. She tried to tell Ben about it, but he dismissed it as nonsense. Feeling extremely scared, Lucy went straight to her friend Ellie's house to share everything with her. She told Ellie about the man in the hat and how everything in the house was starting to feel haunted. After seeing the photo, Ellie began to believe Lucy and suggested that they talk to someone who understands such things, someone involved with spirits and black magic. Ellie had found out about a man named Dr. Andrew, who had experience with the paranormal and had written several books on the subject. Ellie gave Lucy his contact details, suggesting that she visit him. Later, while in the washroom, Lucy encountered a woman named Amelia. Amelia asked Lucy if she had seen the man with the hat, and when Lucy confirmed, Amelia warned her that her life might be in danger. The only way to protect herself was to not let him in. Lucy found the woman's warning a bit crazy, so she quickly left the washroom and decided to visit Dr. Andrew as Ellie had suggested. Dr. Andrew was at home when Lucy arrived. He had written many books based on his experiences with the paranormal. As Lucy read one of his books, she found a mention of the man with the hat, who was described as very dangerous. Lucy told Dr. Andrew everything: the shadow, the eerie presence she felt, and how it was affecting her life. Dr. Andrew was shocked and told Lucy that this was very bad news. He explained that the figure was a spirit that feeds on people's stress and negativity, drawing them in. Dr. Andrew explained to Lucy that the spirit had detected some negativity or past mental trauma within her, which gave it strength. He warned that until it receives more negativity, it won't stop haunting her. He advised Lucy to be careful, but then his gaze shifted behind her, and he seemed to become uneasy. He told her she should leave, but Lucy couldn't understand what had happened to him. When she turned around, she saw the shadow standing right behind Dr. Andrew. He quickly told her, "Don't let it in your house, and I'll pray for your safety." Lucy returned home immediately and started placing crosses and holy items around the house, hoping that it would protect her from the dark forces. However, what she didn't know was that spirits and ghosts had evolved over time and were no longer afraid of crosses or holy objects. They could still cause harm. Lucy called Ben and asked him to come home quickly. Afterward, she went to bed. In the middle of the night, Lucy began to hear voices, and at first, she thought it was her grandmother, as her grandmother used to hum in that way. Lucy, curious, followed the sound, which led her outside. There, in front of her, was an old woman who appeared to be her grandmother. But something was wrong. Her grandmother was staring at her strangely and only said, "It's good that you let it in." Suddenly, her grandmother's face contorted in a terrifying way, as if possessed by some evil spirit. Lucy screamed in terror, but when she opened her eyes, she was back in her bed. She was awake but unable to move her body. She realized that something was trying to open the door and enter the room. Slowly, it made its way closer to her, and it started pulling her blanket off. This unknown force began torturing her, causing immense pain. Her entire body felt paralyzed, and she couldn't respond or fight back. Lucy was experiencing sleep paralysis, a condition where, though awake, the body remains immobile, leaving the person vulnerable to terrifying experiences. During sleep paralysis, when we experience frightening dreams, we are unable to move our bodies. Lucy had to endure this terrifying experience the entire night without Ben, who arrived in the morning after finishing his work. Lucy immediately shared everything she had experienced with him, telling him how she felt like something had attacked her and tortured her during the night. She also confided that, as a child, she had strange experiences, and her parents believed that she had some kind of powers that attracted ghosts and dark spirits. The same kind of experiences she had as a child seemed to have returned in her adult life. Lucy explained that, when these strange occurrences started happening during her childhood, she left her home and went to live with her grandmother. After that, her life seemed normal, but now these dangerous things were starting again, this time with new twists. Ben listened to her, but he seemed to take her condition casually. He thought that Lucy might just be sick, and if she rested, she'd be fine. Lucy decided to go to a church, where she prayed. While there, she got the contact number of Father Robert from the church. She called him and immediately set up an appointment because she needed to talk to someone who could help her understand what was happening to her. Lucy returned home and told Ben that he had taken some time off work to spend with her. As Ben went to the kitchen to make coffee, Lucy was in the bathroom, relaxing. Suddenly, she saw the same dark shadow in front of her, which tried to attack her and push her into the bathtub. Lucy's body went paralyzed again, and she couldn't escape. She screamed, and Ben rushed in immediately. He managed to pull Lucy out, saving her just in time. Had he been any later, she might have died. Ben now realized that Lucy wasn't lying. Something real and terrifying was happening to her, something beyond this world, something connected to dark powers and spirits. A few hours later, Lucy met Father Robert, explaining everything she had been experiencing. She told him about the shadow, the attacks, and the dark presence that had been haunting her. Lucy explained to Father Robert how her house was tormenting her and that she no longer wanted to live there. Father Robert was observing Lucy's behavior, and he felt that something was off. After listening to her request, he handed her a piece of paper to write down her address. However, instead of writing her address, Lucy began scribbling strange and unsettling things. She then handed the paper back to Father Robert, left the church, and went home. Father Robert examined the paper and was shocked by what he saw. The words written were not a regular address, but instead some cryptic Latin phrases that clearly translated to "I am inside." This revelation alarmed Father Robert. He didn't immediately tell anyone but decided to head to Lucy's house to investigate further. Meanwhile, Ben was surprised when Father Robert arrived at their house to meet Lucy. At first, Ben was frightened, but Lucy welcomed Father Robert inside with a smile. Father Robert told Lucy that it was odd she left so suddenly, but Lucy admitted she had no memory of what she had written or why she had returned. Father Robert showed Lucy the Latin words on the paper, revealing that they clearly meant "I have entered." He explained that this was a sign that dark forces, likely the demonic presence, had taken hold of Lucy. Father Robert warned Ben about the evil presence, but Ben didn't fully believe him, thinking it could just be a product of Lucy's imagination. However, Father Robert knew the truth and decided to stay a little longer to assess the situation. He went to the kitchen, but as he passed through a connected room, he started hearing strange noises. The room seemed to radiate negative energy, and Father Robert felt a dark, oppressive presence. He immediately grabbed his cross and began praying in Latin to protect himself from any attack. After a tense moment, he left the room, realizing the danger was real. Meanwhile, Lucy, in the bathroom brushing her teeth, noticed blood coming from her mouth. This was another disturbing sign that something was seriously wrong with her, something far beyond her control. The blood increased rapidly, but later it was discovered that it was just her loss. Ben was now thinking that Lucy had become normal, but as soon as he entered the room, Lucy was standing in a very strange way, and suddenly the door slammed shut. There were loud screams coming from inside the room, and the voices were not only of Lucy but also of someone else. Ben tried desperately to open the door, and after a while, it finally opened. When he entered, he saw Lucy injuring her own hand. From Lucy's body, a voice like that of a human creature began to emerge, which simply said to Ben, "This is mine," and then it tried to attack him. But as soon as Ben called Lucy's name, she immediately fell unconscious. Ben was terrified and immediately called Father Robert for help, who would investigate the situation. Father Robert chose the nighttime because that's when the negative energies gather all their holy items and place Jesus crosses all around. Father Robert then went directly to Lucy, who had been possessed by that dangerous demon and evil spirit. The demon told Father Robert, "This is mine, and no one can take it away from me." The voice sounded extremely terrifying, and Father Robert could feel the negative energy and powers within. For the time being, Father Robert made Lucy unconscious and then went to speak with his colleagues at the church. Father Robert told the church members that they needed to help Lucy, as a dangerous demon was inside her, and they needed to perform an exorcism to send the demon back to hell. An exorcism is a technique used to expel evil spirits from human bodies and send them to hell. However, the head lady of the church told him that they would have to follow the rules and regulations, and until they had proper evidence, they couldn't help Lucy. Although Father Robert could gather evidence, he knew that if they waited a few more days, the evil spirit would overpower Lucy's body, and even an exorcism wouldn't be able to remove it. Despite repeated requests, the church members refused to help, explaining to Father Robert that there must be a reason behind their refusal. But Robert had seen Lucy's condition, and as a father himself, he couldn't bear to see normal people in trouble. So, Father Robert went directly to his friend Ray. Ray was now retired but had solved many cases with Robert in the past. Father Robert told Ray about Lucy's situation and how badly she needed their help. He emphasized that if they didn't do anything, this poor girl would lose her life. In fact, Ray had lost his wife, and he had never been able to recover from that trauma. He had lost faith in God, but after much persuasion, Father Robert left Lucy's recording with Ray, hoping it would change his mind. Father Robert began making all the preparations for the exorcism when he received a call from Ray, telling him that he had listened to Lucy's recording and would definitely join him for the exorcism the next day. They had to get that demon out of the girl's body. Now, we see Ben with Ellie, who is explaining to him that Lucy needs him the most in this situation, and that he should always stay present with her. Ellie went upstairs to check on Lucy, and suddenly, noises came from the room, and the door slammed shut. Ellie was now seeing the dark shadow, the evil figure, for the first time. She was so terrified that she screamed loudly. Ben rushed to rescue her. We now see that the dangerous demon had fully possessed Lucy's body, torturing her in such a way that marks appeared on her skin. Lucy's behavior had completely changed, and she felt as if her body was no longer under her control. In her dreams, she imagined herself in a forest where that dark shadow stood in front of her. Father Robert and his friend Ray arrived with all the exorcism equipment to perform the ritual. Lucy was tightly bound so that she couldn't run away during the exorcism. Father Robert and Ray began the exorcism prayers, causing the demon inside Lucy to experience immense pain. The demon started pleading, begging Ben to release it. Ben, at one point, became very emotional. But Father Robert explains to Ben that this is not his wife anymore, and that he should not listen to the demon's words because it could use his weakness to escape. As the prayers continued, Lucy screamed louder. The demon inside her looked directly at Ray and started talking about his wife, as her wife had also been possessed by a demon in the past. Ray and the church tried their best but couldn't save his wife, which terrified Ray. He was so scared that he ran away from there. From now on, Father Robert had to take control of the exorcism process. Father Robert continued to chant prayers with the cross in his hand, but now the demonic power inside Lucy became stronger. All the electricity in the house went out, and the candles extinguished. The shocking thing was that Lucy had freed her hands and began running downstairs with great force. Father Robert tells Ben and Ellie to stay in place while he completes the exorcism. Father Robert slowly made his way downstairs, where the demon inside Lucy was waiting for him. The demon had almost completely taken over Lucy's body, causing damage to every organ. Father Robert didn't stop his prayers, but little did he know, the demon inside Lucy was growing irritated. It attacked Father Robert and knocked him down. But just before it could cause more harm, Ray arrived. Ray also held a cross and started chanting the exorcism prayers with Father Robert. Together, they prayed relentlessly, and eventually, the demon could no longer withstand the force of the prayers and was expelled from Lucy's body at great speed. Lucy collapsed, unconscious, on the floor. Afterward, Ben and Ellie took her back to her room, as it seemed the demon had finally left her body. Father Robert and Ray confirmed this and got into their car to leave. Ray also realized that he should never have left his job. As long as he continues to help others, his wife will live peacefully in heaven. But just before leaving, Father Robert noticed something by the window. There, the same dark shadow wearing a hat was present. This made Father Robert certain that the spirit had not yet left. And with this suspenseful moment, the story ends here.